for those that were unable to make it, and we can get them a copy so they can follow along with us. I anticipate that this will be a relatively short meeting, half hour at most. My thoughts there, but we'll let it go as long as it needs to, but cut it off if it looks like we're ready to move on. Goals for the day. I want to go over a real brief overview, reminding us all of the purpose and goals of Coming of Age. Talk a little bit about, oh, got some feedback there, so I'm going to try and, if anyone isn't muted, I'm going to. So, are we good? All right, I think we're good. So, so goals for today, we're going to briefly talk about the overview of the meeting so that we can remind ourselves of what we're working to accomplish. Talk a little bit about expectation, go over the schedule, and then open it up for questions. So to start off with reminding ourselves of the overview, Coming of Age is an opportunity to deeply explore spiritual topics that help us find our place in the universe. So our youth will explore UU history, theology, spirituality, community, leadership, personal beliefs, and identity. In the past, the program has had a strong focus on presenting a multitude of religious views to help expose the youth to the diversity of beliefs in the world. Now, while there will still be some of this, we're shifting this year so that our main focus will be on the questions that each of us still ask, and it's about the process of exploration is what is going to define us, and to highlight that process is what is more important than necessarily any question that we or any answer that we find at the time. As a reminder for all of the youth participating, the program does have a $70 fee, which covers the costs associated with supplies and activities. We haven't yet received any of those yet, so please have that submitted to the office soon. There is financial assistance available for any family who needs it. So please contact the office or Reverend McCusick directly for more information on that. As we briefly touched earlier, I'm one of the facilitators along with Deb Klein. Give a wave, Deb. Hi. So we're excited for the year. We are looking forward to what we can offer our youth, and we're also a little bit cautious, just to share up front, of how this will work with a virtual space. And so we are really, really hopeful that things will calm down enough that we can have physically distanced meetings, but in person. We'll plan on trying to accommodate both, but we certainly would prefer if we can connect. So that's who we that's us. That's the facilitators for the year. I'm going to transition now to talk briefly about expectations. So expectations for the youth. Really want the youth to understand that this program is a commitment. It is a commitment of time, because there is something to do every week for 11 weeks. It is a commitment of engagement, and the youth will only get out of this program what they put in. And so for all of the parents and guardians on the call, please, emphasize these with your youth so that they can approach this with the right mindset. And it is also a commitment to explore ideas and to question questions which they may haven't yet delved into. For some, this may be a natural process that they've spent years already questioning these things. For others, it may be an uncomfortable experience that they might not be ready for. As facilitators and as mentors, we want everyone to be mindful of that. But as parents and guardians, please help upfront guiding the youth on what to expect out of this. Other expectations for the youth: we understand that 1 or 2 absences may come up throughout this period, but we certainly are looking for this to be a commitment that they're making. And so we also request that beforehand of an absence, please send out a notice to Deb and I so that we can help guide on what should be done for the youth to be able to catch up. So those are general expectations of the youth. I want to spend a little bit more time talking about mentor expectations. Our mentors, each of you will serve the youth as guides on their spiritual journey of discovery, as together you'll explore the challenging questions of life. So the goals of the mentor is to build a personal connection with your mentee. We want you to be there for them. We want you to listen to them without judgment. And we want you to affirm them as their ideas evolve. We also need you to be open with them about what you believe and about what your understanding of the broader Unitarian Universalist faith is. If a youth asks a direct question like, "So what do you believe?" Please don't answer with another question. "Well, what do you believe?" As an adult, that process can work well. But developmentally, at this stage, our youth will hear that as a non-answer. They should be like, "Fine, whatever. You don't want to tell me anyway." And so we need you to provide concrete explanations of your understanding. The youth are trying to understand if this broader organization is something that they want to be connected with or not. And if they don't feel like they're getting answers, providing more definition around what we are and what we do, it will turn them off. So ultimately, your responsibility as a mentor is to guide this young person on an inner journey of self-discovery, wherein one's unique gifts and insights can be claimed and brought forth into the world. Okay, so some expectations for mentors. Need you to be engaged. You're going to help your youth resolve logistical challenges such as transportation to the meeting if need be. Help connect with them and just ensure that we can all get together. I want you to provide an outlet for your mentee to express feelings or accomplishments, as well as feelings of frustration or confusion. We need you to show enthusiasm and value what we're all doing, and commit to these next 3 months as much as our youth are going to commit. Now, along with all of that, there are boundaries. And so please, so to understand that a mentee may be discussing vulnerabilities, insecurities, and other personal information. As a mentor, we need you to keep this confidential. However, there is a fine line between confidentiality, which is not secrecy. If a mentee reveals something illegal or life-threatening, then we do need you to discuss those matters with Kent or Janelle. That's part of our responsibility as their mentor. We also need you to keep appropriate emotional boundaries. I don't think that'll be a concern with anybody on the list, but I just feel like it's necessary to put that up front. Mentors are not to treat their mentees as friends or confidants. This relationship isn't equal. The focus needs to guide conversations and interactions toward the mentee's needs and development. Any of the mentor's needs that are met, they're secondary. So focus on what you can offer the mentee. You will be meeting with the mentee each week. We'll be meeting as a large group one week and then alternating that individually with your mentee. The format of those individual meetings, you need to coordinate with your mentee's parents and guardians. So you may choose to meet at a public space, such as a library or a coffee shop. You may meet in the mentee's home, or everyone involved may be comfortable with the mentee meeting at your home, or you may meet online. Either way, I really want to ensure that you are on the same page with what to expect and what is acceptable. That should give us what we need to cover the mentors section on expectations and boundaries. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking now about the schedule. And so everyone should now see the screen with what the weekly schedule looks like that we've laid out. And there are 6 sessions alternating with a one-on-one connection week. And so our regular meeting time for our sessions will be Sundays from 3 p.m. till 5 p.m. In those sessions, exploring building a community and building rapport within us and defining who we are. Then talking about history, the congregation's history, and then touching on UU theology. Building into spirituality and worship. Extending to what does it mean to be in community? What are leadership opportunities? What is social justice? All of those awareness will then build to them writing their credo. At the end, we'll have a closing session with a rite of passage. And then with all of that done, we look forward to having that this group of youth will be deeply connected with each other and would look forward to a party celebration day up at the YMCA camp near Boone to have ropes and zip lines and canoeing and other fun activities. And then at a date to be determined, as part of a Sunday service, there will be a small time set aside where the youth will be able to collectively develop what they would want to share with the broader congregation on their experience, not necessarily individually sharing any of their own, taking the time for them to share each of their credos, but they will come up with what they would want to share to express what this experience meant to them. I've sent out an email that everyone should have received while we were in this meeting, which reiterates all that was just briefly shared, as well as has this weekly schedule attached as a PDF in that email. Primary focus is to please review that schedule and commit to being available during this time to help guide these youth through this really important process.
And I just want to add that we talk about the journal. So each of your students is going to get one of these. I hope that we can meet in person to hand these out. So we'll hand them out at the first session if we're able to meet in person. If we're not able to meet in person, we'll send you an email and we'll ask the parents to come and pick up the journals. And so basically the topics that we're covering in the order that we're covering them are, in the pages of the journal. Now we encourage and want the student to participate in this, but we also understand this is a private thing and they will share as much or as little as they want of this. No one else is going to see it that they don't want to. It's like, we don't have to look at it as facilitators. Janelle doesn't have to look at it. The mentors don't even have to look at it specifically to read it, but they might want to just check that some of the things are filled in, or the parents might want to check that some of the things are filled in as well. So we do ask the parents to remind the kids to bring their journal to each session. And that includes if we have to meet online, to still have their journal handy for the online sessions. So.
So that was the main points that we wanted to touch on. Reminding ourselves of the overview of what we're trying to offer these youth. A brief setting of expectations for the commitment and the engagement of the youth. A brief expectation of the commitment and engagement and boundaries of the mentors, and then going over the schedule. With all of that said,
I do want to add, the Y Camp is also for the mentors. It's not just for the kids. So we want the mentors to come to the Y Camp too.
Yeah.
And that cost is included in the fees that you're already paying. So there won't be any extra fees for that. And that will be able to count for the fees for the mentors too. There won't be any out-of-pocket costs for anyone to attend the Y Camp.
And I'm really looking forward to Sue and Mary doing the zip line. I think that's going to be great. So
I can't remember whether I did that last time or whether I begged off. We'll see.
So with all of that shared and presented, now is the time to open it up for questions for Deb and myself, and the floor is yours.
I have a question. So the journal, Will has dyslexia and dysgraphia, and I'm concerned that if he has to handwrite things in the journal, he's going to maybe write a word or two. And I'd like him to process these things more deeply. Would it be okay for him to do like a vlog kind of thing where he keeps a journal that's, by video?
Yeah, whatever works for him, because this is his experience. And again, the journal is a starting point. So however he best interacts that way is perfectly fine.
I too have a question. I know that the fellowship has been concerned with meeting in person, and that generally for the committee meetings, we are asked not to meet in person when the fellowship has decided to go all virtual. Is that going to apply to these one-on-one meetings? If we both agree to meet somewhere in public or in a home, is that okay?
That's something we didn't discuss about the one-on-ones. But if you're not meeting at the fellowship, I don't know if that would be, I think that's kind of going to be up to you and your mentee. But as a group, a large group, if the fellowship isn't meeting for services, we won't be meeting as a large group. And Janelle has assured me that there's lots of ways to interact on Zoom that are more exciting than just sitting here looking at each other. So, so we have some alternate things planned as far as, scavenger hunts and, different things we can do online, but to supplement that. But I think, meeting one-on-one, you guys can decide how to do that outside of our large group meetings. Would you agree with that, Ben?
100%. I think that is absolutely a personal choice between yourself and your mentee and the mentee's parents and guardians, and what works well for that group may differ between different mentees and mentors. But I think that's individual enough that it would be odd, I think, for the UUFA to try and extend authority over that. But to Deb's point, if the UUFA is going virtual only, then that does affect us in the large group.
Yeah, if we're red, we're going to do a virtual thing. If we're yellow, we're going to do the spread out masked thing in the large room at the fellowship hall.
Mm-hmm.
So I have sort of like maybe it's the opposite question. Um, we've had a really hard time finding a mentor, and some people are not wanting to meet in person, like at all, for various reasons. You mentioned something about like that for the in-person meetings that there could be some virtual options.
Yeah, we want to make sure that people that, need to Zoom because maybe they've had an exposure, we don't want them to miss out on the large group meetings just because they can't attend in person. So we will have a Zoom option for our in-person sessions.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
I was just trying to get a better sense of how these sessions go. In the large group session, is that a presentation of information in some way?
We're hoping to make it as interactive as possible and have at least half of the session be community building type activities. And so we don't want to just sit and yak at the kids like we're doing with you now. Adults have a tolerance level for that, but kids just don't. So we want to attend to their wiggliness and their attention spans and make it a more physical interaction in the large group. That's why we're using the fellowship hall so that we can do things and move around the space and do interactive type things. And then part of it, we'll be meeting with your mentee just to kind of catch up on things. And, so it's going to be a hodgepodge of things that hopefully won't be boring. That's my goal, is that it's not boring.
I wasn't really worried about boring. I was thinking that these are pretty challenging subjects, and is there going to be some input into thinking about these subjects? That's
And
what
I'm not sure what you're asking me, Sue. Can you re-ask the question?
well, the subjects that we are exploring with these young people are pretty demanding and huge subjects.
Oh,
Is there feed into those subjects when we're together?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're breaking the subjects down into the interactive things that I'm talking about.
Okay, cool. I'm pretty intrigued by doing a journal myself. Is that appropriate?
There is an extra copy, I believe, in the library so you could take a look and see what the students are exploring. You could talk to Janelle about, getting your own copy if you want your own journal, or, looking at the one in the library, just kind of jotting down some notes for yourself would be fine. We're not asking the mentors to do that, but if you're interested, I would very much encourage that.
Okay.
Can't hear you, Cheryl. Unmute yourself, please.
For our individual times together, will there be some direction on what topics to discuss with the mentor, or are we just kind of figuring out how discussion, where the discussion goes individually?
That will be both and. At the large group session, we will introduce the topics that they're going to be journaling about for that week. And so on your in-between weeks, you can ask them how that's going and check in with them and see how they're doing with that, if they have questions around that. And then you can also kind of just do your own thing. Maybe some things don't have to do with the program, and they're just about, getting to know each other. Maya, are you talking? I can't. Okay.
Kind of adding to that last question, I noticed on the schedule, it looks like you have them every opposite Sunday to when we're doing the large group meetings. Does it have to occur on those days? If it works better for just kind of any day that week, what works better for the mentee mentor?
Yeah, the only things that are set are our large groups, and the other ones you get to schedule on yourself in between the times we meet. And so it could be morning, evening, a different day, however that works for you and your family and your mentor, mentee.
Okay, thanks.
These are all great questions. Thank you.
All right. There is likely that additional questions may come up between now and our first session on the 6th. Certainly feel free to reach out to Deb and myself. The emails we are in the document that have been sent. Otherwise, and so send those along, and we'll do our best to answer those. And if there are any other challenges that may come up of scheduling or commitments, certainly please pass those along as well. We're here to help. Otherwise, with that, I think we've had a great kickoff intro. Looking forward to having low cases so that we can all meet in person on the 6th. And
Yes. And I would just ask you too that we do have 3 outstanding mentor slots that, we have people in mind, but they haven't committed to saying yes yet. And so if you have ideas for who, would be mentors, please pass those along to Janelle. I mean, we've been tapping everybody that we can think of, but we know there's more people out there. And so we want to make sure that these last 3 people before we meet on the 6th to have their mentors in place. Mary, you're talking and not unmuted.
That's because I got muted.
Okay.
I don't know. Traditionally, you have usually had the mentor and mentee be of the same sex. I know that there has been at least one instance where that was not the case. But what are you looking for in terms of mentors this time around for those 3?
We're looking for 2 male mentors and 1 female, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
And the only other thing is I just want to say thank you very much, Ben and Deb, for taking this on. I think this is good. I'm
Our
Yes, thank you.
pleasure. Yeah. You had something, Faith?
I was just going to ask if you had sent or if you can send a list of youth and their mentors at this point, or who,
Yeah.
can we see who the list is?
Yeah, we can have Janelle send that out in an email to everyone who's matched up
Someone
with
to
whom
recommend also.
and who's still waiting to hear about mentors. Yeah. Good idea. Thank you.
It seems appropriate to be in touch. I feel it's appropriate for me to be in touch with my student even before the 6th to say I'm excited about this. Because I am excited about this. My whole life was spent with a bunch of old people. Not that I don't like old people, Mary, but
I don't know, Sue. You don't know what you're in for here.
well,
I
that's
get
true.
3 in this age group every day, and it's a lot to handle.
Yeah, well, you're
That's
right.
why
I
you just get
forgot.
1 mentee.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I appreciate everyone's time. I really thank you for committing to this and look forward to connecting on the 6th. I hope everyone gets to have a wonderful rest of the day and a good start to the week. Take care.
Thank you.